to the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Monday, May 1st. Over the last 7 to 14 days, we've seen a drier pattern, especially over the southern half of the Great Basin, with well below normal precipitation, only some lighter precipitation over far southern Utah. Otherwise, further north, again, most areas below normal or near normal for precipitation, but most of the precipitation has been targeting more central Idaho into Montana, Wyoming, and far northern Utah. New snowfall hasn't really occurred much over the Great Basin. A few light snow showers in western Wyoming and over towards the Uintas, but for the most part has been pushed further east with this drier pattern. However, our snowpack's still hanging on. We are continuing to see snowpack deteriorate and melt with the warmer temperatures and the drier conditions, but obviously due to how far above normal we're still well above normal and above 200 or even 300% in some areas of normal across Nevada, Utah, and Arizona, and still above normal in the 120 to 140% range or so across Idaho into Wyoming. So still quite a bit of snow to melt, but it is melting. We do have some flood advisories out for parts of the eastern half of the Great Basin with these warmer temperatures melting the snowpack, so we could see rises on urban streams and rivers, and also windy conditions will be affecting the region today. Great Basin fire activity has been slowly picking up. We are seeing smaller fires emerge around the Great Basin, which is certainly normal for this time of year, so we'll likely see that continue. Still a bit of prescribed burning going on as well. The satellite loop from this morning shows a deep trough of low pressure along the west coast, and this will be affecting the region for the coming week. Eventually we'll be sliding south down the coast and moving eastward, and again really affecting the Great Basin this week. So we will see this change the weather pattern, pushing that very strong ridge eastward, and we will see a return of some cooler temperatures and some showers and wind across the Great Basin. So for today, that low really hangs along the coast, so it will be pushing some clouds and showers over western areas of the Great Basin, along with windy conditions over central areas, mainly affecting southern and eastern Nevada into Utah and parts of Arizona here in the coming days. We will still see those warmer conditions linger over the eastern half of the Great Basin for today before some cooler weather moves in. Significant fire potential will remain low to moderate over parts of southern and far eastern areas of the Great Basin with that wind, and also with the drier conditions we've seen recently. These are some of the areas where our grasses have either cured in some spots or are certainly in various states of curing over southern areas of the Great Basin. Looking at the transport winds, you can see the strongest winds today, again over central areas of the Great Basin, where we will see gusts in the 40s in many areas, generally a southerly wind. Mixing heights will remain high across the Great Basin. Relative humidity will drop into the single digits over southern and eastern areas and teens over central areas. That moisture will be increasing over western Nevada and the Sierra as that area of low pressure moves in. So dispersion with those stronger winds, obviously good in most areas with the exception of maybe the far north, which is a little bit further away from those gustier winds. By Tuesday, this low doesn't move a whole lot. It'll just kind of sink a little bit further south along the California coast. So still clouds and showers mainly targeting western sides of the Great Basin, but we will see temperatures gradually tick downwards. Significant fire potential remains unchanged on Tuesday, as again that moisture really won't make its way much further east and we'll still have winds to deal with. So winds on Tuesday not quite as strong as what we'll see today or as widespread, but still gusts in the 30s across much of the same areas of the central areas of the Great Basin, and again continued high mixing heights. Relative humidity will increase a bit in the far south, generally 10 to 15% over many areas though, so still on the lower side. Obviously if we do get an ignition, especially over southern areas of the Great Basin with the wind and the drier grasses, it will certainly carry during the burning period with the wind. Dispersion will remain quite good yet again with those winds. On Wednesday, the area of low pressure moves a little bit further south, also pushes that moisture slightly further eastward, so we will see some of those clouds and showers make its way across Nevada, possibly into western Utah and southwest Idaho. Really not much change again to the fire potential, where we do have the areas of yellow, the low to moderate fire potential. I really won't see that moisture quite yet by Wednesday. The wind pattern hasn't really changed much either, with that low really not making its way further east much, so still those gustier winds in the central and southern areas of the Great Basin with high mixing heights. Relative humidity increases a little bit as that moisture moves a little bit further east, but still generally in the 12 to 18% range. Then temperatures, again, today will be our warmest day of the week. We'll still see those highs in the mid to upper 80s over northern and eastern areas of the Great Basin today. We will see those temperatures tick downwards towards midweek, and then by later this week we will see temperatures generally in the 50s and 60s across most areas of the Great Basin for highs, with highs in the 70s down south. And this is, although it is cooler than certainly what we have been seeing, it is closer to normal for the time of year. Forecast amounts of precipitation for the next few days. Again, much of that precipitation will be along the west coast and into far western areas of the Great Basin, with that low really hugging the California coast. Just some scattered showers, very light over other areas of the Great Basin, and this is again through Wednesday. By Thursday, that low really starts to open up and push eastward, so we will see more clouds and showers across the area. These will still generally be on the lighter side, but again, give us some moisture and those cooler temperatures, along with still continued gusty winds, keeping our dispersion high. Significant fire potential does drop to low in all areas later this week, with that moisture moving in and the winds starting to decrease as that low tracks further east. By Friday, similar conditions, that low really planted along the western areas of the U.S. So again, we will see moisture remaining in place with clouds and showers across the Great Basin. This will be a mix of rain and snow showers, rain mostly in the lower elevations, snow in the mid to upper elevations. By Saturday, we will see the low kind of push a little bit further eastward, but we still have an area of low pressure off the west coast, so still keeping some unsettled weather over the northern half of the Great Basin. And then by Sunday, that next wave moves through, pushing that moisture on the eastern side of the Great Basin. So again, definitely a change in the weather pattern to cooler, off and on wetter conditions throughout the next week with wind. The precipitation accumulation for Thursday through early Saturday, you can see obviously the bulk of the precipitation is across Idaho, northern and western Nevada, with lighter showers further east and still some drier spots over southern and eastern Utah and also parts of the Arizona Strip. And then moving on into the weekend, we see the precipitation tapering off and really mainly focused over the northern half of the region. And then obviously the 7-day total precipitation, heaviest as you go further west. So again, some areas of Utah and Arizona will remain untouched by this precipitation and just see the cooler temperatures and some wind. But again, at least that's a little reprieve from the warmer temperatures we've been seeing recently. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from May 8th through the 14th, continues to show that cooler and somewhat wetter pattern, mainly affecting the northern half to 2/3 of the Great Basin. So we will see this more variable weather pattern with storm systems continuing to move through mid-month. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.